Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I'm here to do another review for you. The game that I'm reviewing for you today is called Skyway Robbery, and it is a game that is currently in Kickstarter. It is designed by Philip Dewberry, one of my favorite designers, and he asked me if I'd be willing to do this for him, and after I played it, I really took a liking to the game, so I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of it, and hopefully that's something you can think that you'd like to have on your shelf as well. The game is a heist game, if you will, and who doesn't like a good heist? I love good heist movies, and you know, and that's kind of a real generic term for it. I mean, this is a card-driven game in which you and the other players will be kind of fighting over the resources that the game makes available to you, and these resources are cards. The cards will be used to disable traps or disable defenses or strong-arm people, like basically so you can use the cards and activate certain locations. The game takes place on a Zeppelin. And Zeppelins are kind of a neat thing. It's like a kind of an antiquated part of our past that, you know, at one point, if you read about the history of Zeppelins, there was at one point people thought that we would use airships to pretty much all the time, but eventually, you know, planes and things like that were faster and what have you. I still think the idea of like taking a leisurely Zeppelin ride across the Atlantic Ocean is really cool. And plus, there have been like lots of different books and games based upon that. One of my favorite old computer games was called Murder on the Zindernoof, which was a murder mystery game that took place on my old Commodore 64. Took place on a Zeppelin. I can think of there was if you are familiar with the Johannes Cabal series of books. Johannes Cabal the Detective is a murder mystery that took place on an airship. But I'm kind of getting beyond myself at this point. But what the game is you are the leader of a master criminal group. And I have a cat here. It's trying to mess up my game board right now. You are the leader of a master criminal organization. And you are on this airship. And you are traveling to these like places all around the globe. And each one of these places, there is a wonderful treasure that you can try to steal or acquire or what have you. And you do, by acquiring those treasures, there's also like other like heists that you can do within like the actual airship itself. There's like turf war things you can do where you are actually like going and roughing up members of other criminal organizations, things like that. You're trying to make a name for yourself, and after the last heist is completed, then the game is over, and whoever has the highest reputation, victory points if you will, becomes the winner of the game. So, as always, I'm going to give you a brief overview of how the game is played. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There is a really, really great turn-taking mechanic that I love about this game that really sets it apart for me, which I'll show you. But other than that, I will do that, and then we'll come back here, and I'm going to get rid of this cat, and then I'll tell you exactly what I think about Skyway Robbery. All right? Will we? Say goodbye. Bye. Let's start off by saying that, yes, this is one immense game board, and just so you know, this is a prototype that I have, but it is a very nice prototype, and I can only assume that the game is going to look very much like what you see here. To begin the game, what you'll do is you'll randomly determine 5 locations that the airship will travel. You have 10 cards, you draw 5 of them, and then you set them up from lowest number to highest number when you set up. I set up with like they say the first time you play it, the way you should play. I played it otherwise, but with number 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And then you have these locations, like the first one being the Cavern of Dust, then the Sky Council Chambers, Desert Outpost, the Empress, and Blackwater Bayou. And this art is absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to say that from the get-go, and I won't go back to that. But I can only assume and this is just a prototype, I can only assume it's going to look that much better once the game gets published. As you can see here, these are the loot cards, and so you can see there's the number 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And so these are the different items that the heists will be trying to get. And so, like with this, the Silver Amulet, if you're able to get that, it's going to be worth 4 respect or renown, if you will, and then 4,000 big ones if you get it. Now, among the deck, there are tons of little places, and I'm just going to say right from the get-go, I love games. And Arkham Horror was like the first game I ever really played. I love games with tons of cards. I love games with tons of options. What you have here is you have like different things like equipment that you can purchase with obviously with money that you gain, like mirrors as equipment, and then if this can do something, it tells you what defense it'll disengage, like that. Like this steam saw, as you can see, it'll tell you what it can be used to bypass. And then, but loud, it's like for each time it's used, you add a die, and I'll explain in a little bit. You'll be using dice, which will unfortunately, if you fail at certain things, members of your gang will be forced to go to the brig, which will be right here. But of course, as you can see, there's defenses set up. You can eventually break them out of the brig, and so you can then go through and you can take back your own crew members or gang members or other people's gang members too, who swear allegiance to you because you've broken them out of jail, so to speak. You also have members of the actual airship crew, and like here's like a security chief, and like you can see that he costs 4,000 to bribe basically, or you can muscle him if you have 7 strength and pound, like the game members you have, you can play those and you'll muscle him. And you see as an action he can release 2 gang members from the brig and you get to add them to your hand. So like he lets people go, so to speak. And also like there's gang members you can hire as the game begins. So like here's like a locksmith, and for 2,000 he can open up any vault as an action. So all that might be a lot of information that you're getting hit with right now, but just bear with me, and when I explain how this works, you'll understand. Now you'll notice down here in the dock area, there are a bunch more cards you can hire. Now some of these are actual specific to the heist in general. You'll notice like this one has that number 1. For $1,000 you can get the Splunker, who can go through a cave, and you'll notice right here, that's the main defense of that particular spot, is the cave. So obviously you want to get him to be able to get that. There's also specific to the equipment, one is a power torch, or a flashlight basically. Once again, it'll bypass the cave. So you don't have to have a guy that can do it. If you can also equip one of your gang members with one piece of equipment. Each one can have one piece of equipment that'll allow you to bypass certain things when you send them out on a heist. One other area before I actually show you the action selection and things like that is over here. This is like the turf war cards. As an action, you can go in here and beat up people. Like here's this low life. You have a strength total of 5. And then you get 5 respect, and then you get to keep that card to the rest of the game, and then you play that card, and then adds to your total renown or respect or what have you, and that determines the winner, obviously. One other thing, I apologize. You'll notice that there's these little like fuse box things, or these power the defenses. And so like if you were going to break somebody out of the brig, you'll notice that there's 2 defenses. Here's a poison gas here, and here's like this gear defense. Well, if you had these 2 cards, yeah, you could defeat that. Or if you can defeat the steam defense here, you would shut off the power, and then that power would go down and you'd be able to get that. The same goes for the side jobs here, the experimental cure and the dusty book. And like these like little minor heists actually have the defenses listed on them that you have to defeat. But once again, like I said, if you can manage to actually just get this particular spot, then it just shuts it down, and you can then go ahead and grab what you're looking for. It should be noted, however, that anytime you take a card off, you need to replace it. Like if you defeat a turf war, you replace it with a card from the deck. So then the next person who has an action has access to that. If you remove one down here, like that's a specific one, that's to the cards that are specific to that particular location, you have to, like, here's another one. I think you see it, number 1, climbing claws. And so, like, if you remove the power torch, you replace it with one of that particular heist that is in play at that time. So, all right. Well, each player will get a player board. And, like, you know, once again, really nice art on the back. You know, they have like a little backstory or whatever. Front and back are exactly the same. And each person will get one, and you'll determine the first player, and the first player gets this cool little ticket thing. And then each person starts with $8,000. And then you'll also get a deck of cards. First of all, you get a dirty trick envelope that you can use once, and then when you flip it over, then the dirty trick is no longer available to you. And each person's dirty trick is listed right there. They're different for each person. And then you get a deck of cards that allows you, so like usability, that would be to like use the ability of one of your things. Acquire asset, pretty simple. You acquire a new crew member or a piece of equipment. Anonymous tip, this is the one where you actually can rat somebody out. If you play this, then anybody else who happens to do anything illegal, you get to add a die, upcoming, for every opponent on there. And also, you get, for each die added, you get to take 2 of those respecting it. Pickpocket, you just get $2,000, don't have to worry about it. Local heist, gang members, you try to bypass the local defenses and claim the loot, as far as, you know, the heist that you have here. Or you can try to bypass the brig and claim up to 2 arrested. Turf war, which is that getting those guys. The side job, which is up there, obviously. And then repeat. You can repeat any of the 2 other actions that you played. So you'll notice that these are actually in red. Those are your legal actions. So the anonymous tip affects those. So that's a good way to tell them apart. So each person has those cards. Now, each person will secretly place a card here, and card here. They place them face down of your 7 cards. Then, starting with the first player, you reveal the first card, you take the action. The next person will reveal the first card, take the action, and so on and so forth, until you get to the last person. So, like, let's just say this was the last person. I don't have any cards on here, but just imagine. So they reveal their first card, and then they get to reveal their second action. So they actually get to take 2 actions in a row. But it isn't a serpentine thing. So then what they do is the person to their left takes the second action. So it continues going clockwise around the board until that person, the last person to take the second action goes, and then they take the third action, and then it goes all the way around again. And then, of course, as you can expect, the first player token will turn over to the next person. Now, I'll show you some specific actions and how it works here in just a second. But just so you understand, it's like this starts off and goes like this. If at any point during these 4 turns of taking actions, you complete this heist, this token immediately goes there. And then you turn over the next heist, you apply the cards, you clear off the dock, you apply the new cards, and so on. Then, if you don't actually complete the heist before you go here, you discard the heist, nobody gets it, nobody gets to complete it, and nobody gets this loot, and you go to the next particular loot that's on the deck, and you start over. Pretty straightforward. So, how do you defeat actions are really simple. If you want to acquire somebody, you either pay the money to take the card, or you pay the strength to take the card if you're muscling somebody. Turf war, I already explained that. You play these particular, some of these people, like here, like a boxer gang member has 4 strength. So you play these cards. You don't discard them, though, mind you. When you play the cards, you actually like put them down in front of you, and then for that entire turn, you can't use them for something else. So you do like have a situation where like you get to take them back in your hand, but then they are used up, so to speak. So you can use them for strength, or you can turn in money that you've earned to buy the things that you want as well. Oh, and I should mention, at the beginning of the game, each person is handed 3 gang members. So they get 3, and then they look at their 3 gang members, and then they pick one. They pay how much it costs. Like they wanted this pirate, they pay 5,000 of their starting 8,000, and then they hand the other 2, kind of drafting, to the person to their left, and they take 2, and then any of them that you don't take after any of the things that aren't taken are put immediately in the brig. So there's people in the brig to be taken. And so then that's how you get your starting crew members. And whoever has, so then you start up the game. If you ever run out of people in the brig, there has to be at least 2 gang members in there at any time. So if it's empty or there's only 1, you take them off there and you put them and you populate them. So to defeat a heist, basically what you have to have is you have to be able to defeat the particular defenses. So in this case, there's just a cave. So if you had, say, like this spelunker, you would be able to defeat that defense. However, you have a situation where, you notice over here there's a vault or the code. You need to have something else that's going to defeat that particular one of these 2 to be able to get to that last bit. So maybe you'd have, like, say, this locksmith that has the ability to defeat the vault. And so you'd have these 2 particular people that would be able to get past those defenses. Now, you can send up to 2 and outfit them with equipment up to, like, that's a minute. But anytime you have more than 2, because there's more people, you add another person to it, you have to add you have to add a die to what you're going to be doing, because you're chancing things. There's certain dies, like, remember the chainsword or the steam saw, that's loud, so that adds a die as well. If somebody had played the illegal activity, that adds another die to it. And what happens with the dice is that, say I got 2 dice and I was going to do that particular action, you roll those 2 dice and you hope you get this result. Otherwise, you people are going to get arrested. So you roll those 2 dice, and that would be bad, because both of my guys that I sent on my action both got arrested, and so I wasn't able to complete the heist, and they would go then over to the brig, because they were caught in the midst of trying to break into the cavern of dust. Now, if I ended up like that, one of them would escape, and I then get to claim it, even though I lose 1 guy. So what happens a lot of the time is that you'll have, maybe, like, you'll have a character who will actually have equipment. Like, let's say you had the power torch and the locksmith. So this guy alone has the ability to defeat that heist. I mean, he can go there because he has the power torch. He'll get him through the cave, and he's the locksmith, so he can get through the vault. But because of the fact that somebody's going to mess with you, or because you're doing illegal activity, you picked up a die, maybe perhaps only 1 die, you're going to send somebody with it. So, like, maybe you would just here, I'll just take one off the top. So, like, let's say you sent this pirate with them, just because the chances are, when you roll that die, well, I escaped anyway, but if you rolled that, you'd say, okay, well, you're going to take the fall, pirate, and you send him over there, and then this guy was able to get past the defenses, and you take that. There's some other little things that I should mention. Like this denotes a vent. A lot of times, like the whole thing with, like, crawling through passageways. If you have like assets with the vent allow you to bypass everything, they can't bypass this, obviously. And you can notice that they actually have this little line built really well. Some of the places, like, say, the Sky Council chambers, you'll see that this little power thing hooks up to that. And so that means that, once again, like, you're gonna put, once you get over there, you put that in. So now it's got a Tesla coil that is that's defending it, and so you have to, like, figure out a way, you can either defeat the Tesla coil, or you could defeat the defense that's protecting the power source, and you can get past it that way. So there's lots of different things going on, and lots of cool things. And, like, a lot of things about this game that is fun, it's like the discovery of the game. Like the cool new characters, the cool, like, building up your gang and what have you, and just, going through the racing, basically, against everybody else to gather up the necessary resources, gather the best crew, if you will, to put yourself in the position to win the game. So I really like the game. Like I said, I like card-driven games. I like the theme. I like the fact that this is once again a game that kind of tells a story as you play. Who doesn't like I said in the introduction, who doesn't like a good heist movie or a heist story? So I really enjoyed that aspect of the game. But let me tell you exactly what I think about it in my conclusion, and I'll do that right now. The cat has left us. Well, I see her peeking in the door, but maybe she'll make a reappearance. But hopefully not, since, well, jeez, get out of here. Okay, apparently this is going to be a full cat intro and conclusion episode of Undead Viking videos. Alright, so there you go. That's how you play Skyway Robbery. Like I said, it isn't really all that difficult to play. There's some fun resource management because everything pretty much costs money, and so you have to make sure that you have that money involved. It has something that I like about games that are like this. This is a very Euro-ish game. But it has the ability. You have the ability to mess with other people, and with the alarm dice, right? You know, the actions you can take, and plus going to the actions. That's probably like obviously that's like the core of the game, and it is the most fun part of the game for me. Picking those 3 actions and guessing what other people are going to be doing, and hoping that like the things I choose and timing them well, as far as when you get to take actions and what order you'll be taking those actions. Is like really the most fun part of the game. I mean, it is really cool to get like those perfect cards, exactly what you need to be able to, you know, like disable the alarm systems and what have you, and be able to pull those off. But really, I mean, it's all about deducing what you have to be able to what you need to be able to do what you want to do, and also being able to do it expediently, I guess would be a good word for it, and hopefully, you know, possibly screwing with other people as well. And a lot of times when you play games like this, it's like if you manage to screw with somebody, then oh well, that's great. I wasn't really trying to, but it somehow just worked out in my favor that I did. This is a game where I actually, like, at least for me, I would actually take actions specifically to knock other people down and try to impede their progress, and so it's something I really enjoyed. I kind of wish that I could like actually like at times you know, have my marksman with his sniper rifle be able to shoot the other players, you know, and it seems kind of I was annoyed that I was unable to do so, but I guess, you know, this isn't an Ameritrash game. It isn't about actual like slaying of other people. It's about and honestly, you know, when you're a criminal mastermind, you're not actually like getting your hands dirty, if you will. You're being a little more sneaky when you're dealing with your rivals. So, you know, if you like games with a nice steampunk theme, I think you're going to like this game. If you like card-driven games and card-driven resource games, I think you're going to like this game. And also, if you like variable action games, like and turn order, you know, and like the turn order puzzle that I talked about, you're going to like this game as well. So I urge you to check out the game on Board Game Geek, and also over at GameSloot, and also the Kickstarter, and you can research more into the game itself. If you have any questions about gameplay or anything like that, by all means, ask away, and I'll answer those to the best of my ability. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, you... you have yourself one awesome day. Alright, say goodbye, Lily. Bye-bye.